like I say, sometimes I went by SS because of the fact that, like I say, I painted my name on the side of the Titanic, and I painted my name on the rooftops of my manufacturing building. Like a lot of people would do that too. After I did it, everyone had to do it. It's on the if you were flying an aircraft and you look down at my buildings, it would say Lucifer Star or Brian Briley. I had Lucifer Star buildings and then I had Brian Briley buildings, but it would say Lucifer Star, and there'd be a little star, you know, and my white ships and everything else like that. It was loosely connected. But I had my name painted on the midsection of the Titanic, Lucifer Star, LS. But then some people started to steal my identity and were trying to stay in my hotels and everything like that using my name. And so I started going by SS, using my middle initial, so no one would know that it was me. So anyway, because everyone assumes that that initials are the first letter, and it's like, well, I could just use SS. So, and it was also like the power company. So, because I was also doing a lot of power generation and a lot of steam generators and stuff like that. So, I mean, I was the mega rich person that everyone wanted to find out about. The 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 legendary what's his name, Ellis. A lot of people called me Ellis, and some English people called me Lassie, or no, I mean some Scottish people called me Lassie. Lassie. Like, I'm not a dog. Woof. I was just playing around with them. They were playing around with me. They would joke with me. I would joke with them. It was like really good. Like we were. It felt like a family. Like my people were my family. The people that lived in my towns and worked in my mines, my factories. Like I'd like to think that we were really close. And like I say, I built two whole cities, and no one knew about them until like people would see advertisement in the newspapers or in the papers saying new city opening up, and I was opening up whole new cities, and of course I always had 500 million applicants for any one of my cities because there was water, there was food. We built the farms, we built factories. I'd hire in for my factories, and I always had, like I say, I was opening up a new car manufacturing plant, and there was a line that went down the street 3 blocks, up the street 3 blocks, and around and back, like all the way back and around and almost back to where you know the place was. Like someone walked around and they said, you have a line, and the lines crossed the street, and that was just for taking applications to get into one of my cities, or to get employed at one of my factories. I paid the most. Like later on they said, oh, well, at the blah, blah, blah station, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, that was actually, I was taking job applicants. And they were listing their resumes and everything else like that, or their qualifications. And then we would hire them. And there was a German back there, going, okay, and your qualification, what can you do? Okay. And then they would look in the book to see if they needed that. And they'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, take train number, blah, blah, and all right. And they would write out instructions, basically. Take this train, take that train, go there, and you would go, and I think what they would do is you would hand the slip to the engineer, and the engineer would keep track of where you were going, and they'd be like, all right, you're going off here, and then you would get off, and then you'd walk over. That's another big thing about the past that everyone has forgotten and isn't on record is that if you're going to a town or to a company, generally my engineers and my people on the trains knew what companies were in every town. So you could literally walk up and say, I'm going to Hampson's Automotive, and in Sedman town, and they'd be like, yes, you're going to be getting off on the 4th stop or whatever. And then what they would do is they would walk down the aisles and they'd be like, okay, this is your stop right here. And then you would get off at the train station, and you'd walk in, and you could ask, and you'd go up to the ticket booth, and you'd be like, "I'm going to what's it called, automotive," and he'd be like, "Yes, that would be down the street, and it's up 5 blocks or whatever." Or you could just go out to the buggy carriage service. A lot of my train stations also had buggy carriage services, in city buggy carriage services, and it'd be like, 2 bits, sir, and he'd be like, "Here you 2 bits," and then okay. They're like, "Would you be staying like?" And they'd be, and I'd pay them to also offer up about my hotels too. So the driver would casually say, "And will you be staying the night?" And you'd be like, "Yes. Do you know any hotels?" And they'd be like, "Why, yes. If you're staying at if you want to pay, there's the what's it called down the street where everyone goes." Or there's also blah blah. And I usually had 2 hotels. I didn't have 3 options back then. I only had 2 options. You could stay at the really nice place, or you could stay at the normal place. Or you could try your luck with any one of the houses. Because you go, "Yes, do you have a room available?" And sometimes they'd let you stay there. Anyway, so there's all that going on too. I mean, it was, I had everything set up just right. I was like, it's gonna be like this, and okay, and I want you to do that. I want those people to do that, and I want it to be like this, and I set everything up just right. So, because I was trying to create something, and I told my people exactly what to do, and they did it, and it was working really amazingly. Like everybody loved it. Like I say, everyone loved it. Anyway, and then they talk about the Führer, or the leader of Germany, being this horrible person. Like, I own Germany. It's my country. I mean, JFK and Nixon and all of them were just talking shit. They were just, I don't know. Maybe it was just that they couldn't be epic like me. I mean, I paid my people really well to do things just the way I wanted them done. And my Irish, my Scottish, my British, I'm pretty sure did things exactly the way I wanted to. I mean, they talk about the 1920s like it was this magical year, because, like I said, I was spending money like crazy, and I was trying to do this thing. The thing known as civilization. Anyway, it wasn't war. I mean, I built tanks. I was a weapons manufacturer too. We destroyed rock and stuff like that. I was a builder. We cut through stone. And I say some of my steam engines would go on a hill, and they would stretch a cable across the hill, and they would start cutting the hill. Like literally, you'd take a steam engine here, and then they would stretch out a cable like 5,000 feet of cable, and they'd put it on, and they'd anchor down another steam engine, and then they would just start slicing into a hillside. And some people would be scooping off the dirt. And they would just be slicing through rock and everything, through the dirt, through the rock, through everything. And they'd get in a certain ways, and then they would start going up. And then they would go back, or they would slice in a ways, and then they would go up a foot or two, and they'd slice in a ways, and then they'd go up a foot or two, and then they'd slice in a ways. They'd be doing these little benches and solid rock, and then they would break the rock up. And they would break the rock, and then break the rock into sections, and they'd load that up and go build a house. We'd sell it. That's how the slate quarries got started. Anyway, so I mean, I spent years trying to get everything just so it was magical and amazing and wonderful. Anyway, I thought it would matter. I mean, everyone does the most efficient switch. Everyone builds the biggest cannon. I mean, I did it first, but then everyone, and I was trying to do something that was unique and befitting someone of my stature, to make LS truly legendary. And then they talk about my SS like they're these horrible people, and like, no, I don't think so. They were paid really well. They were paid like double what everyone else was paid. I don't know why they would betray me or be bad.